Hi guys, so once again I'm making a pathetic attempt to revive the reading habit in Singapore. Today I'm going to recommend a book by another North Korean defector or escapee, and earlier on I have actually introduced you to this book by Miss Park Yeon-mi, and I've also done a video review of the book. You can check my channel for that video. And today I'm going to talk about this book here by Miss Lee Hyeon Seo, who also escaped from North Korea, but much earlier than Miss Park did. Are the two books different? Yes, they are very different. The encounters that the two women had when they arrived in China were more or less the same, quite similar, but they managed them very differently. Miss Park portrayed herself as a victim of human trafficking, sex slavery, and so on. And so throughout, she was being controlled by her Chinese keepers. In contrast, Miss Lee was most of the time on top of the situation. She managed to fool the authorities. She managed to fool the Chinese police who caught her and questioned her. And she even managed to get a boyfriend who was a police officer. The whole thing reads like a James Bond novel, and Miss Lee did quite well in China. Of course, there were a few harrowing escapes which she had, and finally she settled down in Shanghai, where she found a job. And after a few years, she decided that she had to go to South Korea. So that's when she got herself a real ID. She bought a real Chinese ID from a mentally handicapped person whose family needed a bit of cash to support her. So she bought this real ID. She managed to apply for a real passport. So she flew to South Korea, and she sought political asylum there. At first, they didn't even believe that she was North Korean, because after so many years in China, she had lost her North Korean accent, or so she claimed. After successfully getting political asylum in South Korea, she decided that she had to bring her mother into South Korea together with her. So she arranged for her mother to escape, but unfortunately they were discovered. She managed to escape, but her brother was implicated. So at the last minute, she decided that they should bring her brother with them. So it was an unplanned escape. Her brother's escape was an unplanned escape. They escaped to China, couldn't speak Mandarin, so they had a hard time. Again, a lot of harrowing encounters and escapes from the police. They made their way down south all the way to Kunming, and then to the Yunnan border with Laos. And from there, Miss Lee departed. She went back to South Korea, and then her brother and her mother went with the broker. But then something happened. The border guard that the broker supposed to have bribed did not show up for work that day, and then somebody else was there. And so Miss Lee's mother and her brother ended up being arrested and put in prison. So she had to travel all the way down to Laos and try to so-called bail them out. Of course, that's more like bribing the prison officers. And by the time she was all out of money, then she came across this Western tourist, a total stranger, who decided to help her. So the prison officers asked for $700 a person, right, to release them. And this kind gentleman, he paid for them. And after they escaped all the way to Vientiane, they got into trouble again. Miss Lee was arrested for helping North Koreans escape. So again, more bribes, and they were fleeced from one point to the next. You know, they were fleeced all the way until finally they managed to pay up all the bribes. But her brother and her mother were still in prison until the South Korean embassy managed to get them out and send them back to South Korea. So the whole book reads like a very intriguing James Bond novel. Now, if you don't have time to read both books, which one should you read? Actually, I would recommend Miss Lee's book. Not that Miss Park's book is no good. Actually, I bought this book because I couldn't find it in a library. I bought it, and you can see, even though I've read from cover to cover, it's still in pristine condition. This library book, on the other hand, it's hardcover, but the binding is not very good, so the pages are coming loose. The poor librarian had to tape up some of the pages, and also some careless guy also bit off a corner from a page, or he tore it off. He didn't bite it off, I think. All right, so this is a more intriguing book, much easier to read, more exciting. And guess what? This kind Western tourist, this gentleman, very difficult to believe that someone would have done something like that. He actually exists, and he actually turned up. He's an Australian, and he met up with Miss Lee again. They got reunited, and wow, it was really a happy ending for everybody. In the end, just like Miss Park, Miss Lee got married to an American and settled down in America, in Wisconsin. So that's all I have for you in this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you when I introduce the next book. Bye.